Evening from Charlotte, North Carolina, here in Race City, USA, the Queen City. Here in North Carolina, we bring you round number 2 of the Canadian Sim Racing Series presented by LaCroixTuning.com. Good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Ovens here in the broadcast booth, and I have got 2 of my new announcing friends with me, and boy, did we have a good time last week. Cannot wait to see what the Charlotte Motor Speedway has in store here tonight. I'd like to join Todd Lewis and Dave Bradley here in the announcer's booth. Todd, good evening to you. Welcome to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Stephen, a pleasure. It's been a while since I've been in Charlotte, but looking forward to being back. Looking forward to 100 laps of racing tonight. We had a terrific opening event at California Speedway a week ago, and I'm anxious to see what we get tonight. I think everybody learned a lot a week ago, what the competition had for them. We're going to see, I think, a lot of maybe not super aggressive going in the early going, because we have a 100-lap race tonight on the 1.5-mile oval at Charlotte, but I think we will see some aggressive moves as the evening goes along. I think that pit strategy, of course, will come into it as it always does, but I'm really anxious to see what we get in the second week of this 5-race series.
And if you remember from week number 1, first half of that race was very gentlemanly. Everybody was paying, a lot of respect to each other. And then the second half, a lot of hard action, a lot of cautions happen in that second half of the opener of this season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here in Charlotte. A completely different animal as far as track layouts go compared to the opener at Auto Clearing Motor Speedway. So, or I should say, not Auto Clearing Motor Speedway, I should say California. Here I am thinking the NASCAR Pinty Series again. But what we have here in Charlotte is a very fast track, a very tough track, and it's daunting for a lot of drivers, especially in the first few laps when you've got a lot of cars around.
You will see up on the top scoring ticker the starting lineup start to scroll across here. We want to thank Stone Ridge Specialty Insurance. Let Stone Ridge Specialty Insurance protect your racing assets. And we thank them for presenting here our starting lineup as they are getting ready to go green flag racing here off of turn number 4. We saw pit strategy play a major factor last week. Will it play a major factor here tonight at Charlotte? We will find out as the green flag gets ready to go in the air, and it's Alex LeBay who qualified fastest with a time of 29.856 seconds who will lead us to turn number 1.
Blake Reinhardt, a winner from a week ago, is now chasing Alex LeBay, trying to hang on around the outside. Is he going to tuck in down low and follow him down the back straight? Looks like that's going to be the case. Maybe these two are going to be the ones that set the early pace and try to make a little space between themselves and the rest of the field.
Well, it's interesting. I talked to LeBay a little bit earlier on this afternoon just about racing here at Charlotte and what he likes and doesn't like, and he says you can really feel the bump going into turn number 3, and he says that upsets a lot of cars, so it's something that drivers have to be careful of over the course of the
You see Kevin Lacroix right there running in position number 3. Todd, he had an issue last week, had the brake pedal set at 8% last week, wasn't able to let that car stretch its legs fully, but we've not our first yellow flag of the night here, as we're just talking about Lacroix running in third. But guys, we thought possibly we could see a couple yellows early in this one, but it's important to note that a little bit of a rule change here tonight only allows these drivers 12 incident points versus the 15 incident points that they had last week, trying to clean things up just a little bit, but we get an early yellow here on lap 3.
Yeah, that was it was funny that in the last week's race we had the first half of it run completely green, and then we had a series of yellow flag incidents through the second half of the race, and I think that's probably what got everyone's attention. Okay, that's fine. We let it go once. We're going to keep a closer eye on everyone this week to make sure that we don't have that start and stop finish to the races we did last week. It's interesting that the first 3 are running exactly as they qualified with the car of Alex LeBay, Blake Reinhardt, and Kevin Lacroix in the top 3 positions. And as you mentioned, Stephen, Kevin Lacroix had a bit of an issue last week. It's a little bit early to make that assumption, but everything seems to be okay in the early going. And if there's no mechanical issues with Kevin Lacroix, I would expect him to be up near the front of the field for a good portion of it tonight.
your race leader, the 36, very familiar scene is what we saw in week number 1. Alex Labbe led a good portion of the first half of race number 1, and unfortunately his pit strategy just caught him out a little bit, and he couldn't make his way back up through the field, and couldn't get hold of that top spot once again, where he was so comfortably situated at the beginning of that race. But now here he is, started on pole. He's led the early going of race number 2, so very comfortable at the front of the field as the driver at the 36.
One car making a pit stop here early. That is Trent Ringler aboard car number 37 here tonight. He made a pit stop as he has pancaked the right side of his number 37 machine, sponsored by McNichols. And that Toyota Supra has got some pretty significant right side damage there. He'll bring it back out onto the racetrack, trying to stay on the lead lap. But Trent Ringler going to face an uphill battle here as we're now 4 laps into this race. Todd, last week, I don't know if it caught drivers by surprise, if it's just the way the strategy worked out, but we saw a lot of cars, what we thought maybe was rolling the dice on strategy, and boy, did it work out for them, as Blake Reinhardt ended up picking up the win last week.
Yeah, Blake and Brock both had good runs last week, and when we were talking with them afterwards, they said it was really going to be close. It was really going to be close, even with all of the caution that we got in the second half of the race in California a week ago. And Blake was even talking about how he was on the final restart or two, really driving that car down low onto the apron, headed into corner one, as much for handling as it was because of the distance. It was the shortest path to corner number 1, and he was that concerned and that worried about fuel. I don't know that we're going to get into that same sort of situation tonight, but let's hope that we can have guys who have plenty of fuel and can really just race for the victory. I'm interested to see how the Lapsevich brothers do in this one. Trayton, who qualified 4th, is still running 4th. Caden is inside the top 10. 2 guys with a lot of experience running sim racing. They are running in a number of different series. I'm interested to see how they do in Charlotte tonight as well.
And Trayton was one of those drivers last week that really sort of snuck up there and ended up in the top 5 for most of the evening. A driver we had mentioned off the top of the show was going to be one of them watching, and he proved us very much right behind the wheel of this number 32. And here, once again, he's making us look very, very good by sitting inside the top 5 comfortably.
One driver as they continue to pace under yellow here. Another driver that we saw with a great run last week, even got up there and led 6 laps, Michael Morley in car number 6, the schoolyard setups ride. He really flexed some muscle last week. Now, it didn't necessarily turn out in his favor there at the end to get the win, but Michael Morley, Dave, he was another guy that we saw have a very, very good run last week.
Was very happy with the way his car was running late in the going. We checked in with him once in a late race caution, and he was excited about a late race dash, and unfortunately the pieces just didn't fall in his favor. But again, another driver to watch here, and potentially could turn some heads here at Charlotte.
So it'll be Alex Labbe and Blake Reinhardt up on the front row. Now, Blake Reinhardt, your winner last week at the Auto Club Speedway in California. His brother Brock Reinhardt finished 3rd. However, Brock, not racing with us here tonight, already took to social media wishing Blake well in his efforts here this evening. And so far, so good, as Blake qualified 2nd fastest tonight with a 29.857. Guys, the difference between 1st and 2nd tonight was 1/1000th of a second. Just incredible stuff.
This is the kind of close action that we're hoping for all through this race tonight. We're going to have up to 100 laps, maybe a little overtime. It looks like we're getting set to go back to green with Alex Labbe and Blake Reinhardt headed towards the start-finish line. And yep, Alex Labbe jumps, and a little pushing and shoving right off the start here.
Yeah, Schweiker got sideways there at the start-finish line right off the drop of the green, and he's going to drop 3 or 4 spots there as he'll now tuck back into line behind the 76 of Lapsevich. That's Caden, one of the Lapsevich boys out here, having a good run so far in the top 10.
Biker was lucky to find the hole there and be able to get back in and get down to the inside, as many of the drivers running right along that white line on the inside.
And we have our second yellow flag of the night here coming out on lap number 8. So one more time, we will do a lap and slow here under yellow, as we had a problem here toward the back of the pack. One car hitting pit road here for some damage, but slow start here to this one here tonight.
Kind of picking up where we left off last week, where we had a number of caution flags, might get a lap, might get a couple of laps before we had a caution flag, and we're finally able to conclude that race. I don't know how this is going to play out for the leaders. I think that Alex Lebay, Blake Reinhardt, Kevin Lacroix, Trayton Lapsevich, the top 4, would kind of like to have a few more laps and see what their car is doing, see what they're feeling in the early going. How hard can they push it? Is there a feel that they're getting as they make their way across that bump in turn 3 that Dave mentioned? He talked to Alex Lebay about. They haven't really had a chance to run a lap at speed, or a couple of laps at speed, to see how that car feels and how it settles in.
And we're going to get a look here at the oh boy.
Yeah, that's a big mess there, involving a couple drives.
Boy, is that not the worst feeling in motorsports, getting hooked in that right rear quarter panel? You're along for the sleigh ride at that point.
Yeah, that's the kind of pushing and shoving that we talked about right off the restart there. That it might get a little bit aggressive in the early going. We're a little puzzled to see, but everybody's got to go 100 laps, and we're starting to see a number of cars make their way onto pit road and try to get back into this.
Well, let's talk to our pole sitter who timed in fastest tonight with a 29.856 second lap, Alex Lebay. Alex, welcome into the booth here. We're going to get ready. Actually, we'll hold on to Alex here for just a moment as we.
Yeah, this race brought to you by LacroixTuning.com, the proud title sponsor of the Canadian Sim Racing Series. LacroixTuning.com is the place to shop online for your wheel, suspension, and tire needs. We can even ship your tires mounted on new wheels right at your door. Lacroix Tuning. And chez Gerard Patat, proud supporter of motorsports for the last 20 years. Gerard Patat wins the race for best fries, hot dogs, and poutine in Quebec. If you ever come by, make a pit stop. You won't regret.
Let Stone Ridge Specialty Insurance protect your racing assets with liability and off-track coverage for race teams, sponsors, competition vehicles, tools, and equipment. Call Stone Ridge Specialty Insurance today.
By Storewall.ca. Shop at Storewall.ca for all your garage storage needs. We import and sell premium wall-mounted slat wall storage solutions for home and business. Our complete line of products provides everything you need to efficiently organize and store items in home and commercial.
So working yellow here on lap number 10, and we will, let's try one more time here. You can get a word here with Alex Lebay, our race leader. Alex, having a great run here so far tonight, set fast time by 1/1000th of a second. Tell us a little bit about Charlotte Motor Speedway and what you expect here tonight.
Sure, it's been a little too much caution. It's like the last race, we just got to go green. I hope we can go green a little bit. Got some really good long run pace, and it's going to be fun to pace ourselves and drive a little bit. But I think it's we just got to save it right front. Setup's a little tight, so you just got to keep the right front underneath it, and we'll be good on the long run.
Alex, I'm sure you're anxious to get in some green flag running, but while we have a couple of cautions early on, you're in the best possible spot. You just edged out Blake for the pole position, but being up front is where you want to be with all this action that's taking place right now.
Oh, for sure. Just controlling the race, keep my nose clean, and just trying to pace myself. I said I hope we can go green a little bit, so everybody spreads out, and we can get some good green flag laps.
Alex, Dave Bradley, are you thinking about strategy at this point, or is it just sort of all out, knowing that there is probably going to be more?
Kind of see how it plays out. I mean, if we keep staying yellow, I think we just gotta keep that track position, just trying to keep our nose clean. But for sure, if we get a good long run, we're probably all gonna go on pit road.
All right, Alex. Thank you very much for those words, and good luck the rest of the way here.
Thanks. Talk to you later.
All right, there's Alex LeBay, and Todd. He is such a seasoned pro. I mean, that's where he wants to be. He wants to be the guy setting the tone early in this race.
Yeah, likes to be out front, doesn't mind setting the pace, as he said last week as well. You've got to look after the right front. That's going to be key. He mentioned it here again for Charlotte, having to look after the right front, hopefully on a long green flag run as we get set to go back to green, it appears.
Coming back to green here, pace car pulls up, LeBay hits the loud pedal, and we're back underway here. Now 13 laps on the board. Make it 12 laps on the board as we take them up to turn 1. And now we've got a battle shaping up for position number 2.
Yeah, that was a big restart for the 74 LacroixTuning.com machine of Kevin Lacroix. He dips way to the inside on the back straightaway. He's well off the pace. A couple drivers. Something happened on the exit of turn number 2 to the driver of the 74.
So Lacroix tucks back into line here aboard the 74. He'll now fall into the clutches of Michael Morley, who led laps last week at California. But Morley better watch out because he's got company behind him. That's the 40 of Jeff Cote.
That's what we want to see, a few green flag laps. Now we've got drivers battling for position, starting to understand what they have into the car, how the car is feeling. Kevin Lacroix may have just slipped back after trying to get the feel of that car. Now he's already starting to look ahead as well as behind him, trying to regain that position from Morley.
So we watched the field roll through turns 1 and 2. Trayton Lapcevich has got himself up into position number 3 after that move around Lacroix to take the spot as they'll race into turn number 3. And Trayton really got a lot to look forward to. He's really a seasoned veteran here on the iRacing service, but he's got a lot to look forward to this year as well, with a Penny Series deal coming up here for 2020 when we're allowed to go racing. And he's having a great run here so far aboard that 32 machine.
Excited to see how Trayton does when he does get into the Pinty Series. He's shown really well and showed some very strong runs, as well as some maturity for his young years as well in the series that he's been running up until now. But once he does get up into the Pinty Series, it's going to be fun to watch him. And look at that battle for third place. Nose to tail, Kevin Lacroix is looking to make that move. He wants that position back, trying to look on the inside. In fact, touched the grass there just a little bit, going through the tri-oval.
Yeah, we're 16 laps in. It looks like it's 16 laps left with Lacroix all over the back of the number 32 of Lapcevich. But Lapcevich is undaunted. He's just hanging on and keeping the driver of the 74 at bay for right now.
Last week, guys, we talked to Raphael Lassard, who told us that Charlotte was a place that a lot of these guys were looking forward to because of how much more grip they have on this racetrack. And I think we're seeing that play out right now. These guys are really getting aggressive here for position.
Going to be interesting to see how the tires affect this as we go through this long green flag run. Does that impact? A little more grip is nice right now, but how are the tires going to affect that as we go further in? We're just 17 laps in, coming up on lap 18 right now, and we've still got the front 3 that are kind of together, then the next 3, and then 2 more. Trayton's brother Caden has now moved up to 8th spot, and he's looking to come up a little further and join his brother as well. Kevin Lacroix now has a little bit of distance between himself and Trayton Lapcevich, running 3rd as Lacroix is 4th.
And that's one of the things that LeBay told me, that this track was very, very fast, and generally fast and tire wear go in hand in hand. It's very abusive on your tires if you can imagine trying to lean into these turns at such high speed. So how long these tires are going to last and how long these runs last will be interesting to see. We're already 19 laps in, and the cars seem fairly stable. You don't see too many wiggles out of any of these front runners.
Interesting.
sorry, Steve, last time through corner one, Trayton Lapsevich looked like he was trying to have a peek up the inside of that second position runner of Blake, but it didn't look like he was trying to get too aggressive as yet on Reinhardt. But Caden Lapsevich is already starting to have a little bit of a look and maybe wants to move up into second position.
Well, Todd, I was gonna. You were right on it, man. That's exactly what I was gonna say. It looked like Trayton. He's not afraid to be the rabbit out front if need be. He's a young, fiery guy. He wants to lead this race here tonight.
And now he's finding that Kevin Lacroix has started to inch up as well. So if you want to look and have a peek up the inside, that's fine, but you have to keep an eye on the back door as well, because anything that you give up front, the driver behind you is going to take it. And there we have fights for position a little further back into the field as well. That's the cars coming back trying to find, that was Caden Lapsevich as well, I believe, moving up.
Yeah, and Will LaRue in the 55, first time we've seen him. He started in the 10th position, now knocking on the door.
As we have our third yellow flag of the night comes out here on lap number 21. Yellow on the racetrack, and got a little bit longer green flag run that time and let these guys kind of sort things out. We were watching a great battle there with the 55 of Will LaRue and the 40 of Jeff Cote. LaRue, part of that LaRue Esports team. And he is going to be trying to work his way into the top 5, currently sitting 6th with his teammate Alex LeBay currently leading this race as we are now on lap number 22. So it'll be interesting to see if we're fit into our pit window here for some of these guys.
Depending on where you are in the field, I guess you might consider making this stop. It would obviously be at least one more stop to take you to the end should you make that stop along pit road now. But if you're deep enough in the field, do you make the stop? Do you want to come down on pit road? Maybe is it this early? It looks like we're going to even have the leaders come in and make their stop right now. With Alex LeBay leading the way, and all of the front runners are coming.
Yeah, he's the Pied Piper in this parade, as Alex LeBay is going to lead the entire field down pit lane, so he is the one dictating strategy.
So it will be Alex LeBay that'll lead the pack down pit lane. 45 miles an hour is the pit road speed limit. LeBay hits the pit stall just perfect. Team goes to work on the right side tires. Looks like it is going to be a 4-tire stop here for LeBay.
Lacroix overshot his pit just a little bit. Yep. I was just going to say.
Oh, and look at all the spots Lacroix is going to lose here in this exchange. Wow. Todd, that's a costly mistake there for Lacroix, and it just goes to show you how such a simple mistake can have such a huge impact.
It's a lot harder to pass those cars out on the track, and it was you're right, a mistake by Kevin Lacroix. Overshot his pit. He comes in, he finds himself a little too far forward, has to back up before the service can begin, at which time everyone else is already at work on their car, making the tire changes and sending them back out, and you'll see the number of positions that Lacroix is going to lose. Now, what Kevin Lacroix has to do is maintain his composure. Yes, he's going to lose probably a good dozen spots back in the field, but we're just 23 laps into this race. There is an opportunity to try and regain some of those positions. Kevin Lacroix has proven that he has a fast race car, but we're going to see whether Kevin Lacroix is going to be able to move through traffic. Just notice as the graphic passed through, that Colin Livingston is going to get credit for leading a lap. I don't know if he did make his pit stop a lap after, but Colin Livingston is going to get credit for being out front.
That's pretty cool notoriety to have. Is do you get into the record books as a lap leader? Colin Livingston, of course, helps out Alex Tagliani at the track, a supporter of the NASCAR Pinty Series, and a fairly talented race car driver behind the wheel of go-karts as well, running down in the U.S. and all around Alberta. So he's no slouch behind us. But further to your point, Todd, what I wanted to say about coming back up through the field, 4 tires or not, this track has proven very, very difficult to pass on. There's been a lot of single-file racing, not a lot of side-by-side yet. So how easy will it be for Kevin Lacroix to come up through the field? I don't think it'll be just snap your fingers and he'll be back up at the front. He's got to
Fell out of the top 10 to 11th in that pit stop exchange for Kevin Lacroix in the number 74. So just outside the top 10, Livingston did not make his pit stop as of yet, so that's a car that will have to pit and move out. So Kevin Lacroix, as you mentioned, Dave, does have his work cut out for him. It's going to be whether or not we're going to get green flag runs, whether Kevin Lacroix is going to have an opportunity to try to maneuver his way through, how aggressive some of the drivers are going to be through this middle portion of the race with these brand new tires. They're going to feel pretty good. Are you going to be aggressive, and are you going to try to make a spot early? And those are a couple of the things that Kevin will have working against him. But I'm anxious to see how he does and whether or not he can pick his way through and get back up towards the front.
I think it'll be the first test of one of the top drivers that we've seen in this field so far, and how well they're able to pass at this very tricky Charlotte track is what's proving to be very tricky. I mean, it's a great single file track if you want to just stay and race a parade, but if you want to get out and try and risk a pass, it seems to be fair.
Well, guys, tonight is, of course, the Right Choice Auto Sales 100 here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And last week, the Right Choice Auto Sales Hard Charger was Boyd Hogan out of British Columbia. Boyd started 41st, finished 7th. And as we look at the potential candidates for tonight's Right Choice Auto Sales Hard Charger Award, right now, Kyle Rochelle has gained 11 spots since the beginning of the race. So right now, Kyle Rochelle, a candidate for tonight's Right Choice Auto Sales Hard Charger Award. We'll see how that plays out over the course of the next 75 laps. We are 25 laps in, coming to green this time off of turn number 4, and it's going to be Alex LeBay, Todd, who's going to bring us back to green.
Yes, it is, and it'll be Blake Reinhardt and the Lapsevich brothers occupying row 2 as the green flag comes in the air, and Alex LeBay once again immediately starts to give himself a little bit of room headed into corner number 1. Let's watch and see if those Lapsevich brothers get nose to tail and try to move forward, and that's exactly what they're doing. They want to stay tucked up close, and they're going to push Reinhardt back into 4th.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Reinhardt spun the tires off that restart as well, because he did not get the jump that he needed. Now he's back up to speed, carrying some momentum in through 3 and 4 up on the outside, trying to make that work. Looks like Morley's going to steal the spot away, and Reinhardt will have to slide.
So Lapsevich moves up to 2nd, Morley to 3rd, Reinhardt slides back to 4, and now we start to see Will LaRue and John Schweikart start to work their way up through the pack. Schweikart currently up to 6th, and look at LaRue getting aggressive here on the restart. Down to the bottom of your point leader in Blake Reinhardt, and looks like he's going to take over the position off turn 4.
Yeah, Blake Reinhardt just has not been able to get moving the way he wanted to, or had shown in the earlier portion of this after this pit stop. Mentioned the spin of the tires off the restart, and then falling back to the Lapseviches, and it looks like we've got a Lapsevich challenging for the front spot of Alex LeBay. That's Trayton, who wants the lead, and yes, he's going to get it on the backstretch.
Morley's going to try and take advantage as well, pokes the nose, but LeBay says no thank you. He slams the door and slides into 2nd spot, but at the line, new race leader Lapsevich will be officially credited with leading a lap here in.
We're just 5 months into the 2020 iRacing season. Trayton Lapsevich has started 234 times. Guys, he's won 134 of those 234 starts, and he leads now at Charlotte here with the Canadian Sim Racing Series.
I was never very good at math, but I think that's a pretty good rate of return as far as we're talking about with Trayton Lapsevich, who continues to hold the lead. And still the battle, though, as Alex LeBay is looking for a way to get back in front of Trayton Lapsevich. That's a good action right at the front of the field. It looks like we're having to spend a lap or two trying to find an opening and try to maneuver your competition to create an opening before these drivers, especially up at the front of the field, are able to make a pass here at Charlotte.
And this is the first time Alex LeBay has really had to contend with dirty air in front of him. He's led since the drop of the green, and now we're here on lap 31, and this is the first time he's been tucked in behind somebody. So how is that going to affect the number 36 we're finding out very quickly, it seems to be still a very, very quick car, but LeBay is eager to get back around to driver number 32, Trayton Lapsovich.
Todd, I had to use my fingers and my toes, but 57%. Not a bad win percentage there this season for Trayton Lapsovich as he continues to lead here on lap number 33. So 33 in the books, 67 to go. And guys, there's a name that we haven't talked a lot about who's starting to flex some muscle up to 4 and maybe pressuring Morley here for position. That's Will LaRue and LaRue Esports 55.
Nice run so far from Will LaRue. Hasn't had the attention because he hasn't been in front of the field with LeBay or Lapsovich, but that's maybe where you want to be. If you're in a good spot, you have the front of the field right ahead of you, you've got a little bit of space around you, you don't have to be quite as aggressive and push those tires quite as hard, but you find yourself in a good position as we're 1/3 of the way through this race.
Yeah, and Will LaRue started back in 10th position, but when you look at the actual lap times, he was only a 1/10 of a second off your pole sitter, and we had some problems a little deeper in the field. It looked like now there's a big one. A number of drivers involved. You see Kevin Lacroix is the one spinning in front. I thought I saw the 74 originally involved in this one, but obviously caution flies here on lap 33.
Boy, and that's the problem when you fall back into the field the way Kevin Lacroix did. That mistake on pit road set him back into 10th spot. On the restart, you're back in when drivers are trying to get aggressive and try to improve their position. You have more cars around you. There is more opportunity for disaster, and that's what Kevin Lacroix has found.
4th yellow flag tonight here on lap number 34. They'll come down to the line to put lap number 35 on the board. And yeah, you guys called it. I mean, Lacroix, I think that's what we're going to see here on the replay is a couple of guys. And I was pretty intrigued, guys. We saw some blocking there for 4th and 5th spot, or actually, excuse me, that was 5th and 6th place. And it was almost like it was an accordion from there on back. A couple of guys tried to throw some blocks here to hold on to position, and then a couple other guys made some contact. And for Kevin Lacroix, I mean, such a minor mishap on pit road has completely changed the course of his race as he's back on track, but he's got heavy front end damage aboard the 74. And it looks like we're going to get a look at the replay here. We're going to watch Lacroix. They're coming across the start-finish line now, and it seemed that the problem was coming off of turn number 2.
Tucked in behind Rafael Lazard, that's Jared Herbison up the outside in the 38. And here's where the contact happens. It's Herbison into Lacroix. They both go into the wall, and
and then they collect a whole bunch of other cars, and everybody else is running for cover after that, trying to avoid 2 or 3 or 4 cars that are spinning out of control and get themselves slowed down and under control. And yeah, that is a big wreck. And there's the 774 of Kevin Lacroix that is back along pit road. And I see the Rafael Lazard making a stop as well.
Yeah, guys, it looks like all of your leaders have hit pit road here. Alex LeBay has hit pit road. Lapsovich, your leader, is on pit road. And it looks like Lapsovich is going to win the race off of pit road. And
barely.
I would have to say, guys, I was a little surprised to see a pit stop so quickly after that one that they just made.
I agree with you 100%. I thought more drivers would stay out. We're not even at the halfway point, and now 2 pit stops already in for your race leaders. So interesting strategy playing out.
I'm just as surprised and puzzled as to why they're making pit stops at this time. As you mentioned, we're barely past 1/3 of the way. This would be their 2nd pit stop. I'm really puzzled as to what would cause them to make stops along pit road at this particular time, but because it's going to be interesting with, once again, everyone having fresh tires to rejoin the race when they go back to green. And we've seen plenty of aggressive moves and blocks in the early going through this race. I expect we're going to see a whole bunch more once we go back to green flag racing.
Did Lapsovich win the race off pit lane, or are they crediting the win off pit lane to the 36 of LeBay? It looks like LeBay.
Yeah, you're right on it, Dave. LeBay wins the race off of pit road by a nose over Lapsovich. I mean, it was very close. And we are going to be coming back to the green flag here in just a moment after these words from our great sponsors.
LaCroixTuning.com, the proud title sponsor of the Canadian Sim Racing Series. LaCroixTuning.com is the place to shop online for your wheel, suspension, and tire needs. We can even ship your tires mounted on new wheels right to your... Chez Gerard Patat, proud supporter of motorsports for the last 20 years. Gerard Patat wins the race for best fries, hot dogs, and poutine in Quebec. If you ever come by, make a pit stop. You won't... I don't know about you guys, but I'm craving poutine right now. You?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Advertising.
And we've got a great look here at the race off of pit road, and man, by a nose, Alex Labbe.
Might be less than a nose than Alex Labbe. That is just barely across the line, but that's the key. He got across the line first, and even though Trayton Lapsovich had built up a little bit of speed, he has to surrender the spot, and he'll be on the outside of row number 1. When they return to green, it'll be Alex Labbe who is back up in front. Fresh tires, and now that he has seen the work of Trayton Lapsovich for the first time, that got him in front of Alex Labbe for the race lead. I'll be interested to see what will happen this time around and whether Alex Labbe approaches it a little bit differently. Maybe he covers the inside a little bit more to keep Trayton Lapsovich behind him.
And Todd, it's also going to put Michael Morley on the bottom lane, and it seems as though that bottom lane has kind of been the place to be all race long on both ends of the racetrack. So Lapsovich has really got to have a good restart. Even if Labbe has just a little bit better restart, he's going to want to get down to that preferred lane as soon as he can.
Will LaRue, Jeff Cote rounding out the top 5. They have shown some speed at different times through this early part of the action. I'm interested to see, will they have learned something in the early going that they can use, and maybe they get up into the fight for the lead as well.
We saw Blake Reinhardt starting on the outside. He spun the tires and then fell back considerably. What will Lapsovich do restarting alongside the 36 of Labbe up in that outside group? Is it better now? Will he be able to make it stick? I mean, temperature in your tires.
Labbe hits the trigger here off turn number 4 as the pace truck is on the pit lane, and we are back to green flag racing here at Charlotte. 39 laps up on the scoreboard, and it's going to be Labbe who will lead. Lapsovich tucks back into line, so it's Labbe, Lapsovich, and the 6 of Morley, your top 3 to turn number 2.
Lapsovich making the defensive move there, understanding that he didn't have the start that Alex Labbe did. Get back inside, get in line, give yourself a good position, maybe try to draw back up on him and not try to do anything that's going to surrender you the spot of 2nd to 3rd.
Credit to Jeff Cote in the number 40 there as he moves underneath the 55 of Will LaRue. Cote has been inside the top 10 nearly all night long. He started in 9th, and he has been a contender here, and he's coming on strong right now. Oh, as we say that, we've got problems, and it is Cote.
Guys,
he got turned for behind.
Yes, he did, guys, and I won't go out on the limb, but I think it's interesting to note, guys, there is a rivalry that has long brewed between Jeff Cote and the 55 of Will LaRue. This goes all the way back to a Rivals Blacktop Series event that took place at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Cote and LaRue got into it. Schweiker and Cote got into it. Schweiker and LaRue, teammates at the time, still teammates now. So Cote, it looked like he checked up and got a little bit loose off turn 2, but LaRue was not letting off the gas pedal either, as we have a little bit of a continuation of a previously brewed rivalry.
Yeah, it's funny how when drivers have incidents together or they find themselves in contact and one of them gets turned around, how at other events down the road they will find themselves together on the racetrack once again. As we're going to have a look at the replay, and there it is. You just see him getting a little bit sideways, and as you mentioned, Steve, checking up a little bit coming out of 2, and then there was contact and around he went.
I'm going to put this out there. I don't think he got sideways on his own. I think the 55 helped him get sideways, and then he said, you know what, I'm this deep, I'm going to just finish.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite an ordeal at New Hampshire, I'll tell you that, and it was a playoff race at that. Tensions ran awfully high that afternoon at New Hampshire. In fact, Schweiker and LaRue earned themselves the nicknames of the sheriff and the deputy, if that gives you any indication. We get a good look here on board with LaRue.
This will tell the tale, and it looks like the 40 was getting a little bit sideways first, Dave, right. and then was helped to complete the spin.
Now, amongst all of that... Oh, absolutely. And guys, while that was all happening, Lapsevich retakes the lead. So interesting stuff here under this fifth yellow of the afternoon, or fifth yellow of the evening here on lap 42.
Wow.
Not even at halfway yet. This is all the action we've had.
Yeah, we've had plenty of action so far in this one. Interesting to see Alex Gannett, who has climbed up into the top 10 as well, as we've had plenty of action. Just to mention a couple of other names that are worth keeping an eye on and have shown some speed either last week or this week. But nice to see Alex Gannett, who's having a strong run tonight.
Rafael Lassard, too, in the 4, finished a runner-up position last week. Almost had a run for the top spot, and he's sitting there inside the top 10. So also another driver who's doing very, very well in the KBM Motorsport.
And Dave, that was a driver who we talked to last week who said he was very much looking forward to coming to Charlotte here, having some more grip, and kind of show, his talent level and show his skill set. He started 17th. He's worked his way all the way up to 6th.
Yeah, possibly another candidate for the Hard Charger Award here tonight.
Absolutely. So they are going to get double filed up here. We're still working the yellow here on lap number 43, as we've got a Right Choice Auto Sales and Service Hard Charger candidate. That is correct. Plus 11 so far for Rafael Lassard aboard the Mobile One sponsored number 4. Truck Series driver for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Surely didn't take him too long of a tow from the KBM shop to get out here to Charlotte tonight. So they
pretty
are
excited to see this restart now with LeBay up on the outside. Nobody's been able to get a good run from that outside starting spot on a restart. On the initial start, it didn't matter. Nobody could make anything stick. But Will LeBay, we know he's been strong all night long. Can he be the one to challenge for the lead from the outside?
Looks like we'll get at least one more lap under yellow before the restart, and Alex LeBay will have his opportunity to examine and decide how he's going to approach this restart with Trayton Lapsevich on the inside, and whether or not he wants to push this thing, or whether or not he's going to let the youngster get out in front. It'll be interesting to see how aggressive he is.
So just a quick pass through your top 10 drivers here. Trayton Lapsevich with the lead. Alex LeBay will start alongside him in second. Michael Morley, John Schweiker will be row 2. Row 3 will be Blake Reinhardt and Rafael Lassard. Caden Lapsevich and Connor James in the 88 will be row 4. Alex Gannett and Jason Metcalf will make up row number 5. That is your top 10 as we look to go back to the green flag at lap 45.
Tip of the hat to Connor James, too, in the 88, who started all the way down in 15th position. Has a couple starts in the NASCAR Pinty Series, but very much at home here at Charlotte.
So Trayton Lapsevich in the 32, getting ready to bring us back to the green flag. He will start on the inside of row 1. The Reinhardt Trailers, Bobby Dale Earnhardt Esports sponsored ride brings us off of turn 4, and we are back to green. And look at the restart for Lapsevich. He'll jump out to 1, 2, make it 2.5 car lengths to turn number 1.
And more.
Did you see how he bumped the field behind him?
He did. You're right, Dave. He did bunch the field behind him, and look at the advantage that on the inside that Michael Morley's taken as well, moving up into second spot, pushing Alex LeBay back further in the field. He's going to lose another position on the backstretch.
Two guys who were strapped together in race number 1 are doing it again. We have a car around, and I was pointing to Reinhardt and Rafael Lazard, and it looks like another big one.
Oh, there's still wrecking coming out of 3 and 4 now.
Oh, they're still going
as they're heading towards pit entrance, and everybody gets slowed down. Let's just get everybody slowed down.
And guys, a good night that went bad has gone to worse now. It looks like for Kevin Lacroix. I think that was Lacroix in the 74 that got involved in that yet again here. As we have yellow.
I saw him coming through too.
Yeah. 6th caution of the night here on lap 46. Now, guys, as you know, we've had a lot of these yellows. We've had some cars that have made, contact in several of these incidents. With only 12 incident points to give here, I think we may start to see some cars that have to, drop out of the race based on those 12 incident points. We'll see that as we go further here, as there's been, not just simple spins for yellows. There's been some pretty significant contact here on these last 2.
Sure has. There have been a number of multi-vehicle incidents that have brought us under yellow. Not just 1 or 2 cars, but 3, 4, 5, 6, multiple incidents. And this one just looked to, somehow evolve as they were headed into corner number 3 and then round number 4. Here's another look at the restart, and look at the jump that Drayton Lapsevich got, just kind of slowing the field up a little bit, and then he was gone.
Yeah, he very much controlled that restart as the leader should. He backed them up, and then as soon as he was in that spot that he could get on the gas, he did so. And he was gone. The problem is the rest of the field wasn't. And look at how bunched they are as they make their way down.
So they've got the cameras pointed to Connor James, and it was Connor James. Looked like he had some help from behind. Got around, and then everybody has just taken evasive action behind him.
There you can see Lacroix come in there in the red and white car, one of the last drivers. He thought he had a clear lane through, and unfortunately that lane disappeared quickly.
Yeah, unfortunate. As Dave mentioned, Connor was having a nice night. He'd climbed up into the top 10, seemed to be moving along, but on that restart just got turned around, and then it was one after another, the cars colliding and collecting through 3 and 4 before everybody finally getting slowed down, and now we'll have to wait and see who's going to be left as we get going again.
Well, we're going to just get a word here quickly with one of our in-race reporters, Drayton Lapsevich in the 32. Drayton, you've had a great run here so far tonight. Got out to the lead, and boy, that restart was awesome there, this last restart.
Yeah, the car's been really good for me. I like this track and worked my way up to the front, and yeah, I'm just seeing what I can do on restarts to get the biggest gap I can on the field behind me.
Drayton, what is it about this track that you like? It's proven to be difficult for some to make passes and make moves, but you've been able to climb right to the front of the field.
Yeah, I figured out the entry for it, and that's where it's really tough, because if you don't hit the right entry, there's some bumps there. You'll hit those and the car just won't turn. So you just got to figure out the right place to put the car, and after that, it'll be fast.
Are you saving your stuff at all at this point, or is it just all out? Because 2 pit stops in, how many more pit stops are you going to make?
Right now, under caution, I'm saving fuel. I'm shutting the car off as much as I can, just because we can't make it on fuel for the rest of the way here. So we're going to need a pit eventually, but I'm just trying to get as many laps out of this tank.
Drayton, talk us through that. I mean, we've covered that a little bit on some of the pavement races that we have covered. Walk us through that for some of the folks. We have a lot of fans that are tuning into iRacing maybe for the first time, and everybody does it a little bit differently. We see you shut the car right down.
I know some people use the clutch and some people shut the car right off. I shut the car right off just because then there's no way I'm burning any fuel at all. Some cars I use the clutch, but in the Xfinity car I think it's best to shut the car right off and just coast around the track under caution.
First half of this race, Drayton, has been hopefully very caution-filled. Let's hope that it's green the rest of the way. Good luck.
Thank you.
There's Trayton Lapsevich, our race leader, and Dave's got some words from some of our great sponsors.
Let Stone Ridge Specialty Insurance Products protect your racing assets with liability and off-track coverage for race team sponsors, competition vehicles, tools, and equipment. Call Stone Ridge Specialty Insurance. And by Storewall.ca. Shop at Storewall.ca for all your garage storage needs. We import and sell premium wall-mounted slat wall storage solutions for home and business. Our complete line of products provides everything you need to efficiently organize and store items in home and commercial space.
Thank you so much to all of our great sponsors here with the Canadian Sim Racing Series, as it is week number 2, the Right Choice Auto Sales 100 here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. Steve Ovens, Todd Lewis, Dave Bradley with the call here for you tonight. And interesting to note, this is quite a production behind the scenes. We're offering these races not only in English but also in French as well, and it's just it's been quite a whole package to put together here for this Canadian Sim Racing Series, a 5-race series. Guys, we are here tonight at Charlotte. We were at Fontana last week at the Auto Club Speedway, but the next 2 events we go turning right and left. Cannot wait to get to our road course portion of this 5-race schedule, as Trayton Lapsevich will bring us back to green off turn 4.
Pace truck along pit road. Trayton Lapsevich has himself another good restart, but it looks like Morley understands what's going on. He tucks right in for a second place, and there's Raphael Lessard, who's trying to make the outside work and gain a position from 4th on that restart and try to pick up that 3rd position.
Well, did you see how he crowded Reinhardt down to the inside through the kink on the front straightaway and try and make that run work? And it looks like he is going to gain that momentum down the back straightaway, carry it into turn number 3, and nose his way into that spot as they head back up.
Now we've got a battle for the lead going to turn number 1 as Morley takes it down to the inside. He'll take the 6 machine down to the bottom, and he'll take the 6 machine Todd to the lead off turn number 2.
Nice to move down to the inside right off the restart, but Trayton Lapsevich is not wanting to give that spot up. Morley throwing the block to the inside. Lapsevich backs out just a little bit, but now he's right back on the bumper, headed through 3 and 4 and trying to regain that top spot, but he's got pressure from behind.
Yeah, look at how quickly the pack can catch you as soon as you start racing side by side. You got Raphael Lessard, you've got Reinhardt there, LeBay's not too far behind, and how about Trayton Lapsevich in the second?
Yellow flag is back out just as that race for the top spot was really starting to heat up. Yellow flag back on the racetrack, 53 laps into this one. We are just past the halfway mark. And Trayton Lapsevich, who just lost the lead to Michael Morley right before that yellow flag. So once again, we've got a new race leader here up on top of the board.
Wasn't that fun right off the... Only had a lap or 2 under green, but plenty of action through those front 3 or 4 cars with Trayton Lapsevich and Michael Morley swapping the lead back and forth. Blake Reinhardt trying to hold off Raphael Lessard to not allow him into that top spot. And Alex LeBay, who struggled and went backwards just a little bit, also in that fight. I'm looking for these 5 cars to resume as soon as we get back to green.
And how about Morley? Been quiet pretty much through the first 53 laps of this race, and then all of a sudden decided it was time to flex some muscle and just pinned it to the inside underneath the 32 of Trayton Lapsevich. Lapsevich really couldn't do anything but tuck in behind. And Morley, a driver we talked about off the top of the show, is now headed down pit lane along with the...
Boy, guys, it didn't look like Morley was going to pit there, and then everybody from Lapsevich in second all the way back decided to hit pit lane, so Morley makes the last-second call to also come down pit road. So 45 miles an hour down the pit road here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Into their pit stall, Morley hits it just perfect, and he will go to work here. 4 tires and gas expected here out of Morley, your race leader. The question will be, can he win the race off pit road And can Alex Labay maybe pick up some spots with that first pit stall?
Morley is off on pit road, and it looks like he is going to maintain that top spot. Alex Labay was still on pit road as Morley went by, and Trayton Lapsevich resumes his second place position as well.
Going to get a look at the replay here to see what put us under this yellow flag. And boy, it looked like they were almost going to go 3 wide there for a moment. 26 machine there, caught up in this one. Oh, my apologies.
You know, didn't see what happened there, or haven't seen the incident yet that brought out the yellow, but plenty of action throughout this field. Everybody looking for positions, everybody looking for a way towards the front, and lots of action right through this entire 43-car field.
You call it action, Todd, but I see a lot of beat-up race cars through this field. If we take a look straight down, there's a lot of cars missing noses. This just gives you an idea of the kind of race it's been already. And here's the smoke, and there's the reason.
Trent Ringler caught up in that one. So Ringler has not had a good night tonight. He got damaged early after pancaking the right side of his car. So a tough break there.
Yeah, he qualified in 6th spot, too, so he had a fast race car, but unfortunately met with trouble early, as you mentioned. And once you get put into the back of the pack, you get in the potential danger zone, and unfortunately...
So let's check in here. Let's bring Michael Morley in for in-race pit report and see if we can get a word with him. Michael Morley, this is Steve Ovens, Todd Lewis, and Dave Bradley in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Michael, tell us about this run. You've got that 6 car out front in the lead. I believe it was about this point in the race last week at Auto Club Speedway where you took the lead as well. So leading laps in 2 races in a row to start off this 5-race series isn't a bad way to do it.
Oh, not at all. I'm grateful for the setup. I've had a great race so far, and it's actually one of my favorite tracks. So I'm pretty...
Michael, has it been any particular way that you have approached this first half of the race with a lot of trouble and a few incidents around the track? You've sort of been able to tiptoe your way through and find yourself up towards the front of the field. Has it just been act and react, or have you done anything specific?
Kind of protecting the inside. I'm sure you guys noticed that a little bit on the broadcast. I'm actually learning to race with these guys as well. I'm learning their driving styles. I'm kind of taking it back a little bit at the beginning of the race.
First off, I got to compliment you on your driving suit. That's spectacular, by the way. But also your driving and just your ability to be as consistent as you have been. Really, one of the few drivers has been able to put it up front. Is it just sort of patience that is...
Between patience, a lot of time on the track with practice, consistency is definitely key. Without it, we're definitely sitting back there in the middle.
Well, hopefully you can stay cool in your cool suit there inside the car. Good luck to you here the rest of the way.
Yeah, great. Thanks, and thanks for the compliment. Great podcast.
All right, guys. Here's Michael Morley, who will restart this race in position number 4. Guys, I gotta love that race suit. That's fantastic.
Creativity at its best right there. That's amazing. Olivier Bedard in the 96 will lead him off from the top spot, though, when we do go back to green. So a very capable driver who will take him back to green. We'll see if the 96 can...
And we'll see the different strategies as well. Those cars will they have to stop again? Will there be a space up front for Morley and the others to make their way through? Or you're going to have cars on different strategies as we get ready to go back racing?
Bedard will bring us back to the green flag, and looks like they make some contact here on the front straightaway. 82 of Callum McNichol slides through the grass as there was contact between him and Morley. Morley will now take over the 3 spot, and now that's a battle for 4th behind him between Lapsevich and Lassard.
And my apologies, the 96 is Boyd Hagen, who actually won the LCQ to make his way into the event here tonight. So that is your race leader, top spot. Great restart for the driver in the night.
Morley down. Yep.
Go ahead, Steve. I was just going to say, Michael Morley is down towards the inside. He wants to be down there and trying to get back up towards the front.
Yeah, Morley is charging. Restarted fourth. He's now taken over the second spot, and it looks like he's going to bring Lapsevich with him. Lapsevich down to the inside, and he will take away the third spot.
Rafael Lessard also coming up towards the inside, trying to follow Lapsevich through and behind Michael Morley. And where is Alex Lebay? Not too far back in that pack as well.
Yeah, and you have to keep an eye on that number 12 car. He's the winner from race number 1, your points leader coming into this event. Blake Reinhardt, who is sitting very pretty once again in this event, keeping his nose clean, keeping towards the front of the field. He's right there and ready to strike.
And you can see LeBay trying to take care of that right front tire that he preached to us early in this race. Oh, look out, we got a little bit of trouble going into turn number 1. Morley's around in car number 6, who was running second, and he's going to collect Will LaRue, and we've got a mess over there in turn number 2.
It looked like the 32 of Lapsevich was running very, very closely with the 6 of Morley. Whether or not there was contact, I'm not sure, but they were very tight together when Morley...
Yeah, Dave, you called it. Little bit of help there in turn number 1 for Michael Morley off the front bumper of the 32. I think we're going to get a look at that here under this yellow flag, but a tough break for the driver who was running in the second spot, had the fresher tires of the cars that pitted there on that last yellow flag, and he has got pretty significant damage on the back end of the 6 car, and he calls for the tow truck. He's going to have to be towed back to pit lane as you see the replay.
That's exactly as you called it, Dave. He did get touched by the 32.
I wasn't sure if he just took the air off the spoiler and the 6 went around, but there was definitely contact.
And a heavy hit there as well. I believe that was car number 30. No, not Brett Taylor. There was a car that come through and just made solid contact there at the end of that accident, as more cars getting torn up here. Todd, this has been a little bit of a race of attrition here the first 2/3 of this one.
Certainly has, more so than we were expecting. Perhaps a little bit of caution in the first half of the race, but as we move through, we thought we'd see a little more green flag running. But other than that one fairly long stretch through towards a lap 20, 22 before we had another caution flag, that's about the longest stretch of green flag running that we've had through the entire first run of now into lap 63 of this event, 63 out of 100, and an awful lot of caution laps. I'm a bit surprised, but I guess it's because of the aggressive nature that we have seen so frequently on this track, is that guys are really moving and trying to be aggressive, getting down low, throwing blocks along the back stretch, and well as through the tri-oval on the front stretch as well, trying to hold off positions. But we've seen some really aggressive racing throughout the field.
And that's the thing when you're dealing with a high rate of speed. This is not a short track, obviously. When you're throwing blocks and there's a driver that's that close, can't cut that momentum, needs to keep it up, that's when trouble starts, because neither one of those drivers wants to give up a spot and give an inch, and unfortunately it leads to trouble. But if you look back to race number 1 in the series, we had a total of 6 cautions for 23 laps. We definitely eclipsed that mark here tonight.
So back under the yellow here, they're going to come down to the line to put lap 64 on the board. And looking down through the pack, I see a few drivers that have tried to work their way up through the pack here to put themselves as a candidate for tonight's Right Choice Auto Sales Hard Charger Award. And right now the driver running in 9th place, Bertrand Godin, in car number 77, guys, has climbed 31 positions from 40th to 9th so far tonight.
I would give him the award, but we'll have to wait and see where he winds up at the end of this race. That is a tremendous climb through the field, and to avoid all of the incidents that we've had, to climb up into the top 10 from 40th at the start of this field, that's quite an accomplishment to survive all of the attrition that we have seen. And what are we going to see in these final 35 laps? Is now we get towards the end of this race where everybody is looking to gain that last position or few positions that they can pick up.
64 laps on the board. Dave, let's talk about some of our great supporters here with the Canadian Sim Racing Series.
Yeah, tonight's race brought to you by Chez Gerard Patat, proud supporter of motorsports for the last 20 years. Gerard Patat wins the race for best fries, hot dogs, and poutine in Quebec. If you ever come by, make a pit stop. You won't. By Storewall.ca. Shop at Storewall.ca for all your garage storage needs. We import and sell premium wall-mounted slat wall storage solutions for home and business. Our complete line of products provides everything you need to efficiently organize and store items in your home and commercial.
Thank you so very much to all of those great sponsors. Just like the racers aren't able to get to the racetrack like they do without the sponsors, we could not do the same without our great sponsors here with the Canadian Sim Racing Series. Again, race number 2 coming to you tonight from the Charlotte Motor Speedway here in Concord, North Carolina. Next week, guys, we head to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and that's going to be a lot of fun as we turn primarily right and a few left-hand turns there.
Oh yes, we'll have plenty of action at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, one of the most famous race courses in North America, which is so challenging, so fun, and also presents itself in terms of plenty of passing and opportunities for overtaking. And if you are brave, if you calculate your risk, you can be rewarded, but you can also run into trouble very quickly if you're not careful at CTMP.
I love stock cars at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park because they don't follow the rules. Open wheelers and road racers will say, well, you can't pass there. Stock car drivers say, yes, we can. And they do. And it makes it super exciting. So I'm really eager to see what this group can do on that.
Live coverage next week will be right here on GeForce TV. Next Sunday night at 9 p.m., guys, as we're going back green flag racing here as we complete lap number 66.
Hagen out front, trying to hold his place out front with Trayton Lapsevich challenging from behind, and plenty of action further back in the field as well, but Hagen holds on to that first position, headed down the backstretch.
Lapsevich looking for a run into turn number 3. He has Rafael Lessard in his back bumper, and it looks like they will remain single file this time through 3 and 4. Look at the run the 4 has on the back of the 32, and Lessard's going to pull it.
Todd Lewis, I'm not sure Rafael Lessard let off the gas through 3 and 4. He came through 3 and 4 like a rocket ship, and he'll take over the 2 spot.
And it looks like Blake Reinhardt is keen on following him through and picking up the 3rd spot as Lessard has taken over 2nd. And Trayton Lapsevich looks like he's found his way back down to the bottom, and he's also trying to gain back 2nd position from Lessard, as well as hold back Reinhardt, who's got LeBay right behind him.
Caden Lapsevich in the 76 is hunting there as well, in behind the 36 of Alex LeBay. So it looks as though the cream has risen to the top, and it's Trayton Lapsevich who goes around hard.
Oh, hard contact that's going to put us back under the yellow flag. And guys, Trayton Lapsevich, it looks like, sometimes the saying goes, sometimes you're the baseball bat, sometimes you're the bug. Oh my goodness, Trayton Lapsevich, who had a little bit of contact with Michael Morley and set him around. Now Trayton Lapsevich finds himself on the other end of it, Todd.
Yeah, it looked like he was attempting to fight back for his position that he had lost off that restart, but then had to surrender it to Rafael Lessard and was trying to hold off Blake Reinhardt, and eventually it was Lapsevich that got sent out and into the wall, and a number of other vehicles were also involved in that, in the reason for this latest caution.
He had a secondary contact too after the original one that sent him into the spin. So Reinhardt just in behind the 32 of Trayton Lapsevich. Watch them as they move across the stripe here. They're very, very close, tucked in behind the 4 of Raf.
And right there you see the contact, guys, and it looked kind of like it was, Todd, just different arcs going into the corner. as Trayton kind of entered a little bit higher and then was going to make a bigger arc down into the corner. Maybe Reinhardt didn't expect that.
Maybe, but it didn't look like either of them were prepared to lift or give an inch as well. It was trying to be aggressive, trying to maintain the position for Trayton Lapcevich, and Reinhardt, of course, is looking to move up and take every opportunity that he can to gain position. It's the best opportunity on the restarts. We've seen it be successful previously. You're able to get bunched up. You're able to get the opportunity to move back out in front, and Trayton Lapcevich just got nudged a little bit from behind, got sent into the outside wall, and as you mentioned, Stephen, he was contacted later on. But right now it is going to be Hagen and then followed by Raphael Lessard and Blake Reinhardt in the top three.
It's proof positive, though, of just how difficult it is to pass here. And when you see that opportunity, you really need to capitalize. You need to make your car go, because if you hold back, you may not get that secondary opportunity to come through. So the hole opens, you got to take it.
So taking a look here at Boyd Hagen aboard the 96, leader of the race. Guys, we've talked about candidates for the Right Choice Auto Sales and Service hard charger. Well, he's certainly a candidate. Started 41st, currently with the lead, using a little bit of strategy to get toward the front of the pack and get some track position. And boy, if this isn't telling, he was the Right Choice Auto Sales hard charger last week. Also started in 41st and finished 7th. So maybe something about that 41st starting position that's really proven out something nice here for Hagen, who currently has the race lead. And Todd, I'm interested. We heard Trayton Lapcevich say that they were going to need at least one more pit stop here to get to the end of the race. I'm kind of wondering when that might come, or maybe these guys are going to try and stretch here.
That was when Trayton spoke to us. They made another pit stop shortly after that, so maybe now they can stretch it and go all the way to the end of this. Otherwise, I would have expected some drivers to have come in already to make those final pit stops, but now I'm thinking that they're going to be able to make it to the end on fuel. Are we going to run 29 straight laps, or are we going to run a few of them under caution between now and then? But I don't think anybody's going to have an issue with fuel now.
If I was a betting man, I would say we're going to run a few of them under caution. I'm just putting that out there. But has Hagen made his final pit stop? Because he's up here based on his strategy. That's how he catapulted his way up to the front of the field. Has he made his final pit stop? That's the question. So we have to kind of review and go back. But I think he has one more to make at this point.
Yeah, I believe that is correct, Dave. He took the track position on that last round of pit stops, which put him up here toward the front of the pack. Raphael Lessard going to restart second here. Reinhardt will restart third. Jeff Cote, who went for a spin earlier, was back now up to the fourth spot. Alex Gannett, a driver we haven't talked a lot about so far in this race, will restart fifth alongside Connor James.
Nice bounce back for Connor James, too, after having that earlier spin and contact with an incident a little bit while ago, to be able to battle back and get up front. Alex Gannett, we talked about him briefly early on, and he had found his way into the top 10. He, too, survived up front in a nice run for the young man from Quebec.
And a lot of these drivers we see at the front have had some sort of incident at some point over the course of this race, but have been able to take advantage of those cautions, make some passes where they need to, and some heads-up driving has allowed them to improve back up to the front of the field.
So they will come down to the line to put lap number 73 on the scoring pylon. We'll have 27 laps to go. Guys, we have 22 cars that are still on the lead lap at this point. And at this point, I mean, as much action as we have seen up front, this race is wide open as far as I'm concerned. As we come back to green, Boyd Hagen is going to bring them back to the green flag as the Chevy Silverado pace truck pulls off of the racetrack, and we go back green flag racing here with 27 laps to go.
Wondered about the restart with Hagen. It looked like he was kind of holding back just a little bit, but now he does get that car moving and does get the preferred line going into corner number 1, and it's Lessard who tucks into second spot in behind him, but he is already peaking as they come out to corner number 2 along the back stretch, and we've got trouble coming out of 2, already more cars spinning.
Yeah, you could see the track just completely blocked there, back off the exit of turn 2, and that one is going to collect another several cars. There's Will LaRue in the 55, slow down to the inside. Still no caution. Now it does fly as the drivers try to rejoin the field, but again, a bunch of drivers with lots of damage to their car.
And a tough break there. Will LaRue has not had a good second half of this race. As you can see, his LaRue Esports number 55 all tore up on the front end. I mean, the whole front end ripped away from that machine. As that puts us under the yellow flag here, and I've lost track of my tally marks here. We have had plenty of action here tonight. We'll put it that way, as we're back under the yellow here on lap 74, with Boyd Hagen continue to show the way with the 4 of Raphael Lessard. And let's see, are we making pit stops? Yes, it looks like the leaders as we take a look here at the replay.
And there you see they just get bunched up coming out of corner number 2. The lead group gets through, but then it looks like just about everybody else from 15th or so back, it's all collected up as yes, we are seeing pit stops now along to I'm interested to see how Boyd Hagen did make that pit stop, but who else is coming along pit road?
Reinhardt's in. There's Caden Lapsevich. He's one of the drivers going to make a stop. Schweikart in the 1 is also making a pit stop, so some pretty big heavy hitters here. This will likely be all they need for the...
And it looks like Hagen is going to win that race off of pit road, as he will beat Reinhardt, Raphael Lessard, Jeff Cote, Connor James, and Alex Gannett off the pit lane. One driver that I did not see come down the pit lane, guys, was the 36 of Alex LeBay. He chose not to pit, and he goes up to the front of the pack here.
Can he make it the distance now on those tires and with the fuel that he has on board without any issue moving forward? It'll be interesting to see. Hagen, as you see, back out towards the front, but a clean, successful pit stop with Raphael Lessard and Blake Reinhardt also in tow. I'm interested to see if LeBay is going to be able to hold off the comers.
He'll be playing all the tricks to save gas at this point. With every caution flag that flies, he'll be shutting the car down, trying to let it roll, trying to save every...
And if we're able to get a shot of his in-car, it looks like he is doing just that, guys. It looks like LeBay is turning the car off and trying to save every ounce of fuel that he can here aboard the Globocam 36 machine, as he is shutting the engine right down, trying to save every drop of fuel he can here to try and stretch it to the end. Now, you know, the fuel is one concern, but on the other hand here, Todd, I kind of like this call for Alex LeBay, because we've seen it's been a little tricky to pass here tonight. Track position is everything.
Absolutely. It's a question of can you hold your position out front with drivers that have made pit stops for fresher tires? How well has Alex LeBay been able to look after that right front in particular that he's spoken about and is going to have to rely on through the final 22, 23 laps, whatever we have left, and however many we can get under green? Is he going to be able to hold off all the challengers from behind who have fresher rubber on their tires or on their cars?
Now, the roll of the dice worked for Boyd Hagen, who's now going to restart inside the top 5. So he improved his track position. Now he stops, he gets fuel, he's on the strategy of the drivers that are immediately around him, and he's up inside the top 5. So,
you know who else this worked for, guys? And I just noticed as we were running under yellow here, how about Trayton Lapsevich? Takes advantage of the one fast repair. He got caught up in an incident when he got spun in turn 1. He comes down pit lane, uses his fast repair. I have to imagine he also took tires and fuel on that stop. And now he's on the same strategy that Alex Labay is. He's got track position and a fast repair that he's now used. He doesn't have any more of those left to use. This could have worked out perfectly here for Lapcevich toward the end.
If you can make it pay off, then it has worked out perfectly. That's going to be the whether or not you can still, like Alex Labay, hang on to that car. But Trayton Lapcevich has proven to have a quick car through this race, as has Alex Labay at different times as well. And it's how hard are the guys behind them going to challenge? How aggressive are they going to be? We've seen a lot of aggressive driving through this race, and I'm expecting that we're going to see it the rest of the way as well.
Now, it'll be just over 20 laps when we go back to green, so now's the time when checks are starting to be written and drivers can see the dollar signs in their eyes because they know the one lap that pays is about to come, so the aggression tends to pick up in these laps.
Alex Labay, Colin Livingston, Trayton Lapcevich, Boyd Hagen, Blake Reinhardt, your top 5 coming back to the green flag. Alex Labay will control the restart. He hits the gas pedal off turn 4, and we are back to green flag racing here with 22 laps to go.
Hagen moving up the inside, trying to take over that second spot, and he will as they make their way into corner number 1. Looks like we've got cars getting collected. Is that Colin Livingston that got turned around as I'm watching through corner number 1? I think it was.
It appeared to be the Livingston machine, and I think Cote was involved as well. Oh no, it's Boyd Hagen in the 96. Another black car with white lettering. So the driver who was leading not too long ago involved in an incident.
It's a shame for Hagen because, as you guys noted, he played the strategy just perfect here tonight to put himself in position to either score a top 5, maybe contend for the win here. And now you can see he's got heavy rear end damage on the 96 machine. And Dave, I think it was Colin Livingston that got caught up in that as well. But Livingston spun, but was able to continue on and maintain without losing too many positions in the ordeal.
Yeah, it almost looked a little bit like patience were missing from that interaction there. It was Hagen was tucked right up behind Livingston, who didn't have the best of restarts, and we'll get another chance to look at it. You see the white and blue car up on the outside. That's Colin Livingston, and Boyd Hagen is right behind him. There you see the back tire spin on the 34 of Livingston, and here is where it gets tight. So the 96 right up on the back bumper of the 34. Livingston comes down, and the rest is history.
And both of them wind up going into the outside wall, but Livingston did get going a little bit quicker than Hagen. Oh, he got tagged again from behind, and that was the part of the issue as well with the 96. I don't want to say it's us guys, but we talked with Trayton Lapcevich earlier. He wound up in trouble. We talked with Michael Morley earlier. He wound up in trouble. We talked to Boyd Hagen. He wound up in trouble as well. So I'm just saying I'm sensing a trend here.
So what you're saying is next time we go to an in-car reporter, we're just all going to keep...
So we are on lap number 80 here. Officially 20 laps to go. And guys, 20 laps, kind of the way we've been running here. The gloves have been off all night long. 20 laps seems like that could take us a bit here, as these guys are really getting racy early on.
Boy, yeah, and now it's what are we going to see in these final closing laps? Alex Labay has found his way back to the front of the field. Trayton Lapcevich is alongside on the front row. Those two have had great battles going back early on in this race. We had Trayton Lapcevich make a nice move to get out in front of the field and find his way out front. But of course, as has been the case through the first 80 laps, it was quickly followed by a yellow. Will we be able to have a green flag run for a number of laps toward the finish? And will any of these drivers be able to hold the lead for any substantial amount of time? It doesn't indicate that this is the way it's going to go, but maybe we will in the final few laps, partly because of attrition.
Yeah, a lot of the drivers who we've seen all race long at the front of the field are back up towards the front of the field, even after some have been involved in incidents and others have sort of maintained their positions. But you sort of know the drivers who are up there, and you know how they're going to race. And I think for those drivers, that puts your mind at ease, because you know maybe what they're going to do. They maybe won't be so erratic when you do tuck a nose underneath them. And that might let it play out a little bit safer, let's say, in these final 20 laps.
Dave, Raphael Lessard mentioned that to us last week, that part of one of the things he was focused on in the first race was learning the other drivers and learning what their tendencies were. Michael Morley mentioned that earlier tonight as well. So we've seen a little bit of that. How much have they learned? What have they learned about their competition? And where is that going to be in terms of creating an opportunity for them to have success at the end of this race?
Yeah, and we should give a shout out too. We talk about a lot of the same drivers up towards the front of the field. You see that red and blue number 26, Maxime Poitras. He's up at the front of the field. He's had a very, very good run here this evening. Quietly good. He's sort of stalked his way up through this pack and deserves every bit of this top 10 position where he's running.
It's like the lights are now off on the pace truck. We will go green flag racing next time by, and it'll be Alex Labbe, Trayton Lapsevich on the front row. This is going to be a very interesting restart, Todd, because these are the two drivers that have really been just gone like gangbusters here on these restarts, and now they're going to find themselves alongside each other late in the going.
How are they going to control the field? That's what we have seen through each of the previous restarts, whether it's Labbe or whether it's Lapsevich, who is at the front of the field. They have controlled the restart to allow themselves to get away. Does Trayton Lapsevich know what Alex Labbe is going to do? How does he react to that? Does Blake Reinhardt, who will start third, also understand what Alex Labbe is going to do? Does he want to try to tuck right up under and maybe take over that second spot from Trayton Lapsevich and give himself the best opportunity headed down the backstretch?
You can see Labbe, he's inching up towards the pace truck and then backing off. He's trying to build some heat in those tires, so when he does jump on the loud pedal, they stick for him, because that is going to be very, very important. We've seen it happen on a couple of occasions, drivers spinning their tires when we go back.
17 laps to go here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Pace truck pulls off. Labbe hits that loud pedal, and Todd, we're back under the green flag here with 17 to go.
Alex Labbe out in front. It looks like Trayton Lapsevich is tucking in behind and trying to hold on to that second spot, get down to the inside part of that track. It's Reinhardt and Lessard who are side by side for third and fourth as they come out of corner two.
Lessard got very, very close to that outside wall off of turn number 2, and now gets back to the inside and paints those left side tires to the white line.
Boy, Lapsevich is going to be really aggressive here, trying to get the lead back from Alex Labbe as they put on a great race up front here. But now Reinhardt's going to close in a 3-car battle for the lead off turn 2.
Lapsevich ran up a little bit high in corner number 1, had to squeeze it back in between the first and third place runner. Reinhardt still in third. That is Raphael Lessard, who is in fourth. Those cars are glued together with the front runner Alex Labbe as they head back down the front stretch.
Really, the top 5 all covered by a blanket here with 85 laps in the books of a scheduled 100. So finally we get a couple green flag laps together and the field starts to stretch.
Down the back stretch they come, everybody tucked into line. Lapsevich took a peek down to the inside, could not make it happen that time, but boy, he really arced it into the corner, trying to get a run here off of turn number 4. Could not make it happen that time. Coming down to the line to put lap number 86 on the board. We've got 14 to go.
Everybody looking for that spot to gain the advantage in the closing laps. Everybody is taking all that they have learned through the previous running and looking for that opportunity. Lapsevich peeks out down towards the inside, decides he is not going to get a run and tucks back in behind Alex Labbe as they go through 3 and 4. Is this the way they're going to run for these final 10 laps or so and then really make the charge in the last lap or two? Looks pretty clean so far.
Watch your points leader, though. The 12 of Blake Reinhardt. He keeps hanging up on the outside and then diamonding off the end of the corner, looking to make that run. Now he won't be able to do that because he's got the 4 of Raphael Lessard.
And guys, I don't think it was as important early in the run, but as this race wears on here for the final 13 laps, don't forget Lessard and the 12 of Reinhardt do have the pressure tires of your top 4 cars here headed to turn 1.
And they are using them up, running side by side for that last lap. We still have Reinhardt on the outside. Lessard is down on the inside right now. And Reinhardt looks like he is going to tuck back in. And no, there's a nice block there from Raphael Lessard as they go down the back stretch.
That was huge for Raphael Lessard as Reinhardt had a full head of steam off that turn, and Lessard saw it coming. He went to the inside and cut off that momentum of the 12. But look at that, opened the door for the 40 of Jeff Cote to really catch up to that group, and now he's in that mix. It's a 3-car battle for third spot.
Boy, the battle for the lead is incredible as Lapsevich now takes a peek down to the inside. He's got to tuck back in the line, and now the lead will stay with LeBay as now these 3 cars here battling for third. I mean, there is great races here for the lead and for third place.
This is the kind of racing that we were expecting to see. Now we're getting it in these closing laps. Raphael Lessard holding on to third, watching as much out of his rear view mirror as he is out front. Blake Reinhardt looking to see if he can find a way around into third, while Lapsevich continues to peek to the inside of Alex LeBay in that 36 car, not getting his way by yet, but finding opportunities perhaps for later in the race.
Now you peek to the inside just to try and rattle the leader to take his attention so he looks in his mirror and makes sure he knows that you're there. But the person he's doing that to is Alex LeBay, a veteran race car driver. He's not going to be rattled very easily. As you see, he's able to open up a bit of a gap, and now we go back.
Yellow flag is out. We've got 1 car that is trailing quite a bit of smoke here down the back straightaway as the pace truck will pick the field up in turns 3 and 4. But we are back under the yellow flag here on lap 91. They'll put 92 on the board when they come by this time. So we are under the yellow here with 8 to go. We'll probably see the green anywhere from 5 to maybe 4 laps remaining. And we were really seeing an intense battle for the top spot there, Todd. That's only going to ratchet up here with less than 5 to go.
What did both of those drivers learn on that last green flag run? Alex LeBay got the lead, managed to stay out front despite the efforts from Trayton Lapsevich to peek to the inside and try slightly different lines going through the corners. Didn't find his way around Alex LeBay. Raphael Lessard has found himself into third spot, but he was feeling the challenge as well from Blake Reinhardt and Jeff Cote. What will they have left in these final remaining laps? We're going to see good fighting for position. That's Olivier Bedard, who has seen the puff of smoke come out the back of the car, and that is the reason that we are under caution once again.
Yeah, that car has been through a few battles here today, and unfortunately it just didn't want to survive to the end of this one, and it goes up in smoke. So it will be a dash for cash here to finish this one off. But it's interesting to see. I mean, the drivers at the front of the field, Todd, you mentioned, they've pretty much laid their cards down on the table. We get to see their hand because they've shown exactly what their strategy is. We know who has the better tires. We know likely they're all going to make it on fuel. So now here it is. Read your hand and play your cards.
I'm good with that.
Me too. A Saturday night shootout on a Sunday night.
That's right. A half a dozen laps or so maybe to go when we get back to green. Everybody has shown the intensity in this race, though. We saw it in that last run of a few green flag laps, but the intensity of this race has been there right from the beginning. We have seen good battles, abbreviated and short for the most part, but we have seen good battles for position throughout this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's been exciting when we've been green. I mean, you have to put that asterisk beside it because, sadly, this race has been marred by an awful lot of caution periods. But I mean, the racing has been there, and the quality of racing that we've been seeing here today is definitely top notch, and we're expecting a good run to the finish here right now. As you mentioned, it'll be probably a half dozen laps when we go back.
So it's Alex LeBay leading this race here. We're going to take the restart with less than 5 laps to go. And Trayton Lapsevich will start on the outside of row number 1 aboard that 32 machine. Again, the story, LeBay set fast time here tonight. Started off with the pole, led early, has run in the top 5 for most of this event. Did get shuffled back, lost a little track position earlier on from an incident earlier in this race. Rafael Lessard has kind of quietly picked his way through the pack, but now in the second half of this race has really been up here for most of the second half of this race inside the top 5 after starting 17th tonight. Blake Reinhardt, of course, in the 12 car, the point leader, last week's winner at the Auto Club Speedway coming into tonight, will restart 4th. Jeff Cote, who got involved in an earlier incident, will restart 5th. And restarting 6th, guys, I know we've said it a couple times, you know, kind of another guy that's almost been that snake in the weeds, Todd, Alex Gannett, going to restart 6th here.
Absolutely. Alex Gannett having himself a very nice run in this one. He, too, has been able to find a way to stay out of trouble and had kind of a stealth mode and move his way through this field this evening and is in position now to have a successful finish. And when you're starting deeper in the field, that's what you're looking for. Survive through the first half of the race and put yourself in the best possible position towards the end. Into the closing laps now, Alex Gannett has been able to do that, move his way forward. He's in a good position. The way we have seen drivers battle for position and fight for position, if someone gets nudged, someone gets moved a little bit, there's an opportunity to gain 1 or 2 or 3 spots even. Alex Gannett has had a successful night to this point.
And you have to think he's a contender for the Hard Charger Award here tonight.
A contender indeed, starting 20th tonight.
Yeah, I was just going to say, starting 20th and up into the 6th place position, he's definitely in a good position for the Hard Charger.
Lights are off on the pace truck. They will come back to the line this time to put lap number 95 in the books, and we will restart with 5 laps to go. Does Alex LeBay have enough to hold on? Does Trayton Lapsevich? He's been fairly patient here in these last few, on that last run. I mean, right on LeBay's back bumper, but being fairly patient. But patience now goes out the window. Green flag is out here with 5 laps to go from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And now Rafael Lessard making a bid for the 2nd spot to turn number 1.
Trying to keep Trayton Lapsevich on the outside. There goes Lessard, who makes up the spot, gets in front of Trayton Lapsevich, headed through corner number 2, and now Lapsevich has 2 cars in front of him that he has to pass.
Now that outside lane is so difficult to get a good restart on, but look at Lapsevich now. He's going to try and use that momentum from the outside lane and try and make something work. He can't quite do it here on the 4 of Rafael Lessard, so he'll sit in 3rd to complete that first lap of the
4 laps to go here for Alex LeBay as he takes it down to the inside through turns 1 and 2. But Lessard went even lower down in the corner, right on that blue and white line, but could not make up any ground. The lead last time was 0.2 of a second for LeBay.
Trayton Lapsevich continuing to look towards the inside, but Lessard has got those left side tires almost down below the line through the corners, and he is right down toward the apron coming out of 4.
And LeBay is going to love this. If he looks in his mirror and he sees these 2 drivers fighting as hard as they are, he says, this is exactly what I need to happen right now, because he's able to stretch that lead as these 2 battle as hard as they.
So it's LeBay through turns 3 and 4. Lessard, Lapsevich, and the 12 of Reinhardt talked right into line with one another. Last time the lead was just over 0.3 of a second. It's now over 0.4 of a second. Todd, he is stretching the lead here with 2 to go.
Just what Alex LeBay wants, and Blake Reinhardt trying to make his move now and try to move up and through into 3rd spot, trying the outside, and looks like he's going to be successful and move his way forward.
High, wide, and handsome in the 12 car. I think that's the first pass made successfully on the outside all night tonight. He waited till lap 98.
Oh, that was impressive. Boy, if Reinhardt could have found that line a little bit earlier in this race, who knows what might have happened. White flag is out. Actually, I believe it'll be white flag next time for Alex Lebay.
And look at Blake Reinhardt, who is giving Rafael Lessard all he can handle now as he's looking to try and improve further and move up towards the second spot. He's again up on the high side of Lessard, coming around, but can't quite get it done as of yet as they head towards the front stretch. Alex Lebay with himself a pretty comfortable lead.
Looks like something's amiss with the 32 of Trayton Lapsevich. He was so fast just that last run before we went to caution, and he is definitely off the pace. Morley got around him. Now Morley using that high lane to try and get alongside Reinhardt in the...
Wow, look at Michael Morley making a late race run, but through turns 3 and 4, it is Alex Lebay coming around turn number 4 for the final time. He set fast time earlier tonight. He's going to turn that pole position into a win. Pit strategy pays off here for Alex Lebay. He will win at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Michael Morley will come home second, Rafael Lessard third, and Blake Reinhardt will come home fourth after winning last week at California. And guys, Trayton Lapsevich rounds out your top 5 here tonight.
Good run to the finish for Michael Morley, who managed to climb his way up through to second, who started, was it 7th or 8th? I think it might be 7th on that last restart, but a nice move. And Rafael Lessard got the jump on Trayton Lapsevich on the final restart. Managed to hold on to second for a little while before surrendering it to Morley, but Reinhardt and Lapsevich round out the top 5. Good action towards the end of this race.
Yeah, for sure. But the class of the field is that man right there, the 36 of Alex Lebay. He was so fast all evening long, and he showed it towards the end. He just needed a little bit of pit strategy to put him back up in front, and he hung on to that top spot all the way.
Alex Lebay will celebrate here on the front straightaway, and Todd, will turn it over to you here to get a word here with our second place finisher, Michael Morley.
Michael, let's say congratulations first of all, and tell us about your strategy on that last restart, climbing all the way through the top 5 and coming home with a second place finish. How did you manage to climb so many spots in the final run?
Actually, believe it or not, I restarted 13th on that last restart, and I had nice, good tires. The runs on the outside were absolutely phenomenal. I worked my fuel to the point where I was on fumes, and the guys were actually kind of letting me go by, so I have to kind of thank them for that. So, yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, you'll thank your competitors, but a nice job to pick your way through. And was it late that you found that high line was working rather than in the early going? It didn't seem to be successful in the early going for making moves.
Oh yeah, I'm very surprised at how that was working. I was just ripping it as hard as I could, and she was just going. So.
Now, the 12 of Blake Reinhardt was doing it just ahead of you, too. Is that how you noticed that the outside might be?
I was kind of trying it a little bit further back in the field. I did not see him doing it until about later in the... But yeah, it was running hard up there.
Good finish at one of your favorite tracks. You must be pleased.
I am. Thank you. I just want to give a shout out to. Am I still?
Yeah, Michael, if you've got some sponsors or shout-outs you'd like to make, go right ahead.
I just want to give a shout-out to you guys at GeForce TV. I want to give a shout-out to Dark Horse and Adam Ross for setting up the great race, and CSRS. Absolutely amazing.
Congratulations. Great run tonight to come home in position number 2.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we have our race winner here. We're going to stop down into victory lane. Alex Lebay, you had to use a little bit different strategy to get the track position back, but boy, it worked out for you.
Sure, it wasn't easy. We had a couple, 2 incidents, and we went back through the field and drove our way back, but it all worked out good there at the end. We had good strategy, had track position, took the lead, and I knew if we would have some long runs, I'd be pretty decent. A couple of guys that were really, really good on the short run, especially Trayton. Trayton was really, really fast on these short runs, but I knew if I could hang on to him for 4, 5, 6 laps. After that, I'd be in good shape, and it all worked out there at the end.
Alex,
How happy were you to see Rafael Lessard and Trayton Lapsevich battling as hard as they were right behind you? I mean, that gave you the opportunity to open.
For sure. I knew I that's what I wanted to do, build a little gap there. I think I had better pace compared to Trayton later in the run, and that's why at least we had a couple laps on our tires. So, but like I said earlier, Trayton was really, really good there on those stickers. You could really get it. You had a lot of speed, but it was fun to have a little gap there and have a little breathing room, and just kind of try to save a little bit of my right front tire there for if we had a late caution. So it was a pretty good scenario for sure.
Alex, the last restart, you were a little more comfortable. The previous one, when Trayton was on your bumper, you were feeling the pressure. Was it definitely that you wanted to stay to the inside as low as possible? Did you see him peeking to the inside to try to find a way around you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, he was really, really, really quick on those short runs. He put a lot of pressure. I knew as long as the run would go on, I'd be better and better and better. I think I just had a different driving style. I could save my right front a little more than him. So, but I just had to hang on to him for 4, 5, 6 laps, and it was a pretty good challenge for sure. Trayton was pretty good tonight.
Alex, a solid effort for you here tonight. Tell us about all the folks that helped make it happen for the 36 car.
My sponsors, guys, everybody that's behind me in this 2020 season. I got a bunch of people: Hotel Concord, Silver Wax, Russo Metal, Global Cam, Festi Drag. Everybody that's part of the program, DGM Racing. Everybody that putting me on a track week in, week out. Can't thank them enough for sure.
Well, it was a solid effort tonight. I know it didn't come in the easiest of ways, but congratulations on a great run here tonight at Charlotte.
Thanks a lot, man. Talk to you later.
So Alex Labbé comes home with the win here tonight. And Dave Bradley, we've got Rafael Lessard, who comes home third tonight. We'll get a word with him here.
Rafael, another solid run for you in the 4 car, but this one was a tough slog, wasn't it? Hard.
Yes, hard work. A lot of caution. I would have liked to run a little bit more green flag lap, but we were pretty good in qualify. I missed it in qualify, so we started 17th, and I knew I just had to stay out of trouble and take my time. And we had 100 laps to get to the front, and we finally got there. But Alex was really good at the end, and Michael on new tire, it was just way faster than all of us at the end. So finishing third. I mean, first race we were second, and now we're third, and I think it's not bad for the championship right now. I think it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, looking big picture for sure. Definitely be a solid finish. But was it tough to get into a rhythm tonight with so many cautions, especially so early on?
Yes, it was very tough, and especially for the strategy, because it was very hard to gain position. Like, we only had maybe 2 laps every time, 5 laps every run to gain position. So you had to be patient and be perfect on restart. And I think restart I was really, really good, so that helped me a lot. A lot of guys were spinning their tires, and I kind of figured it out, so that helped me a ton. But it was it's a little bit boring when there's that many caution, but it makes it a little bit kind of fun in a different way, because you get a lot of strategy that comes into the game.
Rafael, looked like the inside was definitely the place to be on that restart, on the final restart especially. But then on the outside, it proved to work as well for others later in the race.
Yeah, I think the outside was better and better. At first, every restart I would get in 1 and 2 on the outside, and I was trying to hold it wide open for the first corner, and I almost spun out one time. So it was very, very loose. But once the track rubbered out, it got better. But the bottom was definitely right on that white line on the bottom, line wrapping as much as you can. That was the key for tonight.
Rafael, a great effort here to come home in third tonight after starting in position 17. Tell us quickly about the folks that helped make it happen for the 4-car.
Well, big thanks to Toyota, Canuck, JBL, Mobile One, FR Express, and everyone in Quebec back at home, my family, and happy Mother's Day to every mom out there.
We'll see you next week at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Can't wait to get there.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, that'll do it for our top 3 drivers here tonight, and we're just about ready to wrap things up. Guys, I cannot wait to get to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park next week.
Seen plenty of action through the first 2 rounds. Wait till they get to CTMP when they're making left and right turns and going through corner 1. Well, corner 2. Well, just about any corner is okay with me.
Really, I mean, it's going to be a show. We'll guarantee you that.
Be sure to visit us on Facebook at Canadian Sim Racing Series on Facebook and on GeForce TV at youtube.com/GeForce TV. On behalf of Todd Lewis, Dave Bradley, and our producers, Spencer Mullen and Brad Ovens, behind the scenes, my name is Steve Ovens saying thank you very much for joining us and good night from Concord, North Carolina. Congratulations to Alex LeBay.
Introducing GeForce TV. GeForceTV.net is your new source for action overload. Featuring free live programming year-round and countless hours of on-demand video, GeForce TV will be your first stop whenever you want to see the latest and hottest racing action. See live Friday Night Excitement weekly from Charlotte Speedway, and watch the stars of tomorrow make a name for themselves during Thursday night's live microsprint racing. GeForce TV is also the new home for Rivals Race Chat. Watch weekly as Clinton Jeffrey and Adam Ross discuss all the hot topics in the world of motorsports. For iRacing fans, GeForce TV has you covered with hours of live broadcasting from Rivals and GeForce TV racing leagues. GeForce TV promises to deliver motorsports, esports, and action sports you want to see, along with talk shows and vlogs to keep you connected to the lifestyle you love. Visit GeForceTV.net today to subscribe for free. Sit back, hold on, and feel the G's on GeForce TV.